Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for being here today. I would like to start by asking you to raise your hand if you have a sibling. And now raise your hand if you are a younger sibling. Thank you, but the story that I'm about to tell you today will definitely resonate with you no matter what family background you come from, because most of us know what it feels like to yearn for a better relationship with someone, whether it be with a parent or, in my case, with a sister. Everyone has our own definition of success because we are all shaped by unique experiences and environments. Therefore, I could come on this stage and start talking about academic success, which I'm sure many later speakers will do. But what I would truly like to share is my most memorable and meaningful anecdote regarding kinship success. Personally, being the youngest in my family, I have always valued family relationships. But my older sister, Vivian, was preventing me from forming one with her. Now, I won't come on this stage and start bashing my sister, who is probably sitting in the crowd listening, but I will say that as most siblings have, my sister and I had a tumultuous relationship growing up. Sometimes we fought and sometimes we laughed, reminiscing about past arguments. However, this all changed when Vivian reached high school. You know the stereotypical high school movie when the teenager enters high school and all hell breaks loose? Although a generic representation of coming of age, it was only when Vivian reached high school that I realized this was true. First, it was the new privileges. They were never outspoken, but I had realized that Vivian was allowed to spend more money and stay out later once, she started doing so. And I watched in envy as she got her first iPhone. But when I asked for an iPhone, my parents were not so lenient. You're too young, they will ruin your eyes, was what they said. But that was reasonable because I was 12 at the time. However, I saw Vivian entering high school as emancipation from many responsibilities, including the burden of parental approval. It was as if Vivian knew she had the upper hand in our family, because her provoking started most of our fights. We no longer seemed to be able to get along and spent the majority of our time isolated in our rooms. Texting seemed like a more viable way of communicating, even though we were 5 steps away from each other. This was foreign to me because my sister had always been there by my side. She could relate to the joyous moments in life, like picking flowers for our rabbits. Clearly, the flowers had to be rotten or something because the rabbits ended up running away, but she could also relate to the hardships that we faced, like packing up memories and moving across cities. Most importantly, she could relate and understand to what we had to go through to get to where we were. Thus, in wake of our newfound detachment, there was void. However, the yelling and fighting that accompanied us spending time together made me feel as if our disconnection was for the better. The start of our fights were usually along the lines of, "Hey, can we hang out?" "No, and never talk to me again." Have you ever fought with someone over something trivial? Well, if so, then you must know what comes next. And that was the final straw for me. Looking back at my grade 6 self, I think it was the feeling of being disrespected, shut out, and ignored that made me absolutely hate her. However, thankfully for me, our story did not end there. Although COVID was a catastrophic time, many of us can collectively agree that it made society increasingly value social connections more, which in its own way is success. In my case, I was confined to the house with my parents and my sister. And during the months of quarantine, my sister and I surprisingly spent a lot of time together. I can remember the first day we did so like it was yesterday. Am I right when I say that many of us picked up habits during quarantine? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Well, I had just finished baking some muffins, which is the habit that I had picked up, when my sister came up to me. She said, Do you want to watch The Lord of the Rings with me? Now, I would like to specifically extend my thanks to Netflix for allowing us to start our journey to a successful relationship by facilitating our movie marathons. Laughter and commentary replaced silence as we sat by each other on the couch, eyes glued to the TV. I used my baking skills to concoct desserts for us to enjoy, while my sister was in charge of getting up from the couch to adjust the volume. There was no school, no outside friends, and most importantly, way too much free time, which in my 13-year-old eyes was success at last. As time passed, my sister and I communicated, apologized for past fights, and set aside our differences to rekindle our relationship. Now I have someone setting me up for future excellence, challenging me, and shaping me to become the hardworking and goal-oriented person that I am today. I cannot even begin to convey how much I yearned for a built-in best friend that is a sister. I am extremely proud and lucky to have been able to conquer the vulnerability and hardships of rekindling our relationship. Therefore, as I said before, our story did not end there. In fact, it has only started as we make our way through the problematic years of adolescence and into adulthood. However, if you don't have an older sister, that does not mean that success is not achievable, because success is not synchronous with anything. Success is a very versatile concept. It can be the feeling of waking up with content in the mornings. It is knowledge and it is wisdom. It is hard work, but it is also luck. It can be finding a purpose in life, and in my case, rekindling a relationship. My example of success was one of the many examples of a light at the end of a tunnel. It is only one example, but it is not the only example of success out there. As long as you believe in yourself to achieve something, greater things are to come. That mentality is key to success. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing day.